Hello everyone, I hope that you are enjoying your off-season break. I know I am. I'm currently in the middle of binge watching every single show that could possibly be binge watched and cracking my mom up with the constant Hotel Edgewater edits. I hadn't planned to make a video every week over the summer, quite the opposite. However, my mom liked the first one and I still have like 10 ideas on the sheet that I could do. This scavenger hunt is one of those things that my mom really loved when I did it the first time around, so I decided to do it again. In September, I put together a whole bunch of intros to make videos for various hidden recurring characters. Most of these guys don't talk or only said things like yes sir, but I have grown particularly attached to the background character of Molly, quite literally calling my mom to say, "Hey, did you see that thing that Molly did last night?" Now, part of me is hoping that next season, the new characters that we're going to explore are our guys like Molly, Arthur, and Matty, who have been around the whole time. But for now, I am perfectly content with pointing out all of their tiny character moments that make these guys characters and not just texture in the setting. Since I did this for the first half episodes, that being from Goodbye for Now through Who Owns the Dirt, I decided that I would focus on the last 11 episodes, that being On the Carpet through Try Not to Drown. One last clear up before we get started. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but since my last scavenger hunt, we now actually have a picture of the background characters that Diane Farr posted on her Instagram account. At one point, I had actual rules for the scavenger hunt, but now that we seemingly know who are extras and who are recurring background firefighters, I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of these characters with their names or labels. If they don't have a name, then I've labeled them background character 1 through 4, except for Mr. Mustachio, who actually I think has a name now. I'm going to keep calling him Mr. Mustachio until we know for sure that's the same person. I just think it's very funny. Also, we have one more guy to add, and that's this guy from The Wedding. I've clocked him 7 times in season 4, so I've decided to include him in this. And On the Carpet, we primarily see background character number 5, the guy I clocked from The Wedding. At every place in this episode, we see him hanging out in the command tent with Manny, Sharon, Chief Stringer, and a whole mess of Drake County firefighters. First, we see him watching Chief Stringer as Manny desperately tries to fix the problem of Bodie and Tyler getting burned over, plus Jake, Malcolm, and the Drake County engine rolling downhill. Later, he's bent over a map as Sharon tries to fix things, and once again, he's consulting a map behind Manny when Manny is trying to figure out a way to get all 4 plus the injured firefighter out of the crash site. The crash site is the next spot we see background firefighters with both Molly and Matty helping with taking Ringo to the ambulance after Sharon okayed the boys to self-extricate. The Elite of the Elite is a weird episode because we basically spend no time at Station 42, where we do see background character number 5 standing behind Jake, Eve, and Manny at the press conference. The 12th episode of the season, The Life of a Firefighter, is undoubtedly where we get the most of all these background characters. Molly actually has an uncharacteristic number of lines in this scene as he bookies the bet. He's just getting closer and closer to being an actual character. We also see Arthur and Matty standing there for Sharon's briefing when Richards walks in. I'm fairly certain Matty is the guy we see working at the back of the truck when Bodie goes to talk to Chloe, and then in the suit-up we see both Matty and Arthur getting ready. Then throughout the little montage about what it means to be a firefighter, we see the guys doing all sorts of things in shots, along with what I'm pretty sure is footage from the first 2 episodes of the show, but that's what happens when you look at these clips for too long. When we get to the garbage truck, we see Arthur on hose, and when we get back from that call, we see Arthur, background firefighter number 1, and background firefighter number 2, all getting hosed down along with Bodie and Richards. We round off the episode with a couple of shots of Arthur at the crash site with the kid Bodie gave a bear to. During the Sheriff Country half of the crossover, it was noted by multiple people on multiple platforms that none of the firefighters in the Sheriff Country half were Fire Country background characters. However, when we get around to the Fire Country half, we see Molly do a bunch of shit. He nearly blows Sharon up multiple times, having to get told by both Wes and Manny to back the fuck up, even though he is trying to keep Sharon from getting blown up. When Jake decides to use the duck gun to do target practice by blowing up the IEDs, we see Arthur working the truck, and later we see Molly digging with the guys, and Molly and Arthur are helping to get Marco to the ambulance. Molly also gets his small screen debut with a nice close-up as he's getting one of the kiddos to safety. In the very next episode, Why Not Now, we get several shots of Molly and Arthur too. We see Arthur and Molly helping a victim of the stampede when Sharon tells Bodhi he needs help with the rescue instead of being Chloe's +1. Later, Bodhi has Molly take Nelson, the little kid they were helping, over to the reunification tent. At the end of the episode, when everyone hears Landon accuse Bodhi of causing the stampede and Sharon gives a rant that I'm sure she's been waiting to give for many years, you can see Matty, Molly, and Arthur standing in the background. In the next 2 episodes, we only get a very small handful of references or shots of background characters. In Making Things Go Boom, we see Molly get off the engine, and we later hear Jake tell him to fight the fire in front of him. We don't have any background firefighters in Not Worth the Risk, but Sharon does have a firefighter called Gil, the guy that Gabriella almost killed back in Season 3 with her failure to check for a medical alert necklace. When we get around to Sometimes the Chaos Wins, we see Big Mike in a flashback shot. Then we see background firefighter number 2 walk from the engine bay into the station. You can see Maddie helping Molly pack up gear when Roberta comes into the station to talk. And then our last background character of the episode is, I think, Mr. Mustachio doing chores when Bodhi and Eve talk about Cole. With 3 of our 5 main characters out in San Francisco, you would think there wouldn't be much to talk about in Best Man, but we've got a couple sightings. Namely, background character number 5, who crosses behind Eve when she is telling Eleanor that she's not back together with Francine. We see Mr. Mustachio and I think background firefighter number 2 running the relay race type thing at the station, and then we later see Matty and background character number 5 putting turnouts away while Matty has a heart-to-heart with the guy who stole money from the charity. And we've finally reached the penultimate episode where we just get a lot of Arthur. We see Arthur and Matty packing up the truck in the main engine bay while Sharon and Brett are talking about her vacation. Then, when Sharon and Brett show up, we see Arthur talking with another firefighter behind them. We get 2 more shots of Mr. Mustachio, and I think this is when we learn that Mr. Mustachio's name is Willis, which I will be using from here on out. But then, for one last shot, we see Willis talking with someone else at the dam bridge. Now we get to the finale, and by the nature of how the finale was structured, we don't even see our first background character until everyone's coming home and we see Willis hop out of the truck. Then we get to the wedding, and I'm going to talk about where the people sit. Background character number 5 is several rows behind Manny on Jake's side. Then we get Molly and Arthur in the same row as Manny, but on the Violet side. You may be wondering if this person between them is Molly's wife, and my answer is probably not. I think she's just a background firefighter that shows up too infrequently for me to count her under my normal background character rules. We have seen her with Arthur before, specifically in Get Your Hopes Up, when she and Arthur come to take Sharon to the hospital and end up taking Kara. She was Paramedic 1 in the captions and either Freddy or Ramirez, but we've never heard Arthur referred to by either of those names for the rest of the series, so these names might not even be canon. One last thing to point out is that Molly is sitting with Chloe, and I presume Bodhi at the reception section of Jake's wedding. Cue selected clips from the dancing montage with copyright-safe music. Alright everybody, that's about everything for this video. I just wanted to make this one because I thought it was lots and lots of fun, and my mom really liked it the first time around. And it's a really good excuse to sit and rewatch the entire back half of Season 4, while also having my eyes glued to the TV. I will probably make a video like this for Season 2 when I'm working on the Season 2 essay series, especially because I recently discovered that Vince and Molly were at the bar together, ordering drinks, and it's not over, and I just want to show that to everybody because it's like, I didn't know that when I made that Mully video all the way back, however long ago that was. Speaking of which, would you guys like an updated one of those? It might be helpful now that we know so much more about the guy and I'm much better at identifying him. Next time I'll have another Hotel Edgewater edit for you guys because I'm really enjoying them. And then I'm actually going to be making a video explaining why it is that I keep making all of these edits about this cartoon and Fire Country. So, see you guys next time.